Hello and welcome back, my dear friends. My name is Hannes. Today you will hear the healing power of music of the series The Mysticism of Sound and Music. So let us begin. Chapter 21. The healing power of music. Healing through music is in reality the beginning of development through the art of music, the end of which is attaining that which in the words of the Vedanta is called samadhi. In the first place, if we see what is at the back of all medicines that are used for healing purposes, and if we ask what it is in them that heals, we shall find that it is the different elements which constitute our physical existence. The same elements are presented in these medicines, and that which is lacking in us is taken from them, or that effect which should be produced in our body is produced by them. That vibration which is to be created in the body is created by their power, and that rhythm which is necessary for a cure is brought about by putting the circulation of the blood into a certain rhythm and speed. The intensity of vibration which may be necessary for our health is brought about by the medicines. From this we learn that health is a perfect condition of rhythm and tone. And what is music? Music is rhythm and tone. When the health is out of order, it means that the music is out of order, that the music in ourselves is not right. Therefore, in order to put ourselves into a state of harmony and rhythm, what is most necessary is the help of harmony and rhythm. This way of healing can be studied and understood by studying the music of our own life, by studying the rhythm of the pulse, the rhythm of the beating of the heart and of the head. Physicians who are sensitive to rhythm determine the condition of the patient by examining the rhythm of the pulse, the beating of the heart, the rhythm of the circulation of the blood. To find the real complaint, a physician with all his material knowledge must depend upon his intuition and the use of his musical qualities. In ancient times, and even now in the East, we find two principal schools of medicine. One which comes from the ancient Greek school through Persia, the other which comes from the Vedic medicine and is founded on mysticism. What is mysticism? It is the law of vibration. It is the understanding of the nature of complaint by the rhythm and tone that can be perceived in the human body and its regulation through rhythm and tone, according to one's understanding of the proportions of the rhythm and tone that make for proper health. Besides this, there is another way of looking at this question. Every illness apparently has its peculiar reason, but in reality all illness comes from one reason or cause or condition, which is absence of life. The lack of life. Life is health. Its absence is illness, which culminates in what we call death. Life in its physical form, as perceived through the physical spheres, is called prana in Sanskrit. This life is given by food or medicine, or the body is prepared by a certain food or medicine to be able to breathe in this life itself. In order that it may be in the better health, that it may experience perfect health. But this prana, which means breath, the central breath, attracts from space all the different elements which are there, as the herbs, plants, flowers and fruits all attract from space the same element which they represent. All these elements are attracted by the breath. Therefore the great mystics, whether from Greece, Persia or India, always had the culture of breath, the science of breath as the basis of spiritual evolution, and the source of all healing was science of breath. Even now you will see in the East healers who magnetize water or food or the atmosphere Where lies the secret of this magnetism? It is in their breath. It is the influence of their breath which is in the water or the food. The religious people of India have a ceremony where something like a sacrament is given by a holy person to someone who is suffering, and it helps him. It is the holy person's power of breath which is so balanced, so purified and developed that it attracts all elements, all that one can get from herb, flower or fruit, and even more. Therefore his breath can do 1,000 times more than what medicine can do. There are healers in the East who whisper some spiritual words. What is whispering? It is breath again, breath with words directing through it. There was a physician in Delhi who mostly used his healing power with his patients. One day a skeptical friend came to consult him. The physician whispered a few sacred words before the patient and said, "Now you may go." The skeptical man said he could not understand how such a method could have any effect upon his health. The physician then did something quite unusual for him. He offended the man by speaking harshly to him. The man became very angry and said, "How can you, a physician, say such words to me?" The physician replied, "Usually I never do such a thing, and I only did it to prove something to you. If my words can make you angry and ill, they can also make you someone well. If words can make one ill and upset, they also have the power behind them to harmonize the patient and to put him into a good condition." Now, what is music? According to the Sanskrit thinkers, there are 3 aspects of music: singing, playing, and dancing. All 3 represent rhythm, and all 3 represent tone in some form or other. And what is the effect of music? The effect of music is to regularize the rhythm and to tune a person to the music that is being performed. What secret is there in music which attracts all those who listen to it? It is the rhythm which is created. It is the tone of that music which tunes the soul and raises it above depression and despair of everyday life in this world. If one knew what rhythm is needed for a particular individual in his trouble and despair, what tone is needed, and to what tone that person's soul should be raised, then one could heal a person with music. There was a time in India when music was used for healing. It was healing for the mind, for the character, and healing for the soul. For it is health of the soul that brings health to the physical body, but healing of the physical body does not always help the soul. That is why the material science of medicine can do good for some time, but does not entirely suffice the need of the patient. I do not mean by this that outward treatments is absolutely useless. There is nothing in this world which is useless if we only know how to make use of it. All things in this world are needed. All things have their benefit and use if you only know how to use them properly. But if a cure is brought outwardly, while inwardly the illness remains, sooner or later the illness which is buried in the body must come out and show itself. Once I met a person who said she had been to many physicians for a complaint of neuritis. She was temporarily cured, but it always came back. She said, "Can you tell me something that will help me?" I asked her a question. "Is there any person in the world whom you dislike, whom you hate, or whose action is troubling your mind?" "Yes," she said, "there are many people whom I dislike, and especially there is one person whom I cannot forgive." "Well," I said, "that is the neuritis. That is the root of the DSC. Outwardly it is a pain of the body. Inwardly it is rooted in the heart. Often the cause of illness is within, though no doubt many things are caused outwardly. No single rule will cover everything. No doubt, as things have changed and materialism has spread through the world, this has influenced things not only in the West, but in the East also. The use of music for spiritual attainment and healing of the soul, which was prevalent in ancient times, is not found to the same extent now. Music has been made a pastime, the means of forgetting God instead of realizing God. It is the use of one makes of things which constitute their fault or their virtue. Still, the remembrance of the ancient use of music remains among the poor in India, where there are healers who have their particular instrument of healing on which they play, and the people go to them for healing. By playing this instrument, they arouse that certain feeling in the patient which has become cold, and that deep feeling which was buried begins to come out. It is really the old way of psychoanalysis. Music helps the patient to express in full the hidden influence which was there, and in this way many people are helped without going to a physician. But this is no doubt a crude and ordinary form of healing. The Maharaja of Baroda, knowing that healing could be accomplished through music, introduced concerts in certain hospitals. The amazing result was that all those who were suffering began to cry out, "For God's sakes, keep quiet, go away!" That was not the music to soothe them, it only made them suffer more. It was like giving a stone for bread. In order to give healing through music, one must study what is needed, what is wanted. In the first place, one must study what the complaint is, what elements are lacking, what is the symbolical meaning, what mental attitude is behind the illness. Then, by a close study, one can do a great good to the patient with the help of music. Even if music were not used as a prescription particularly intended for a certain illness, still the power of illness, which has its abode in the heart of man, can be reduced by lifting up his heart, by changing his thought. What brings illness is the thought of illness rather than the illness itself. The existence of illness in the body may no doubt be called a shadow of the true illness which is held by man in his mind. By the power of music the mind may become so exalted that it rises above the thought of illness, then the illness is forgotten. You may ask, what kind of music can heal man? It is singing or playing or something in the way of dance. Singing is the most powerful, for singing is living, it is prana, it is life itself, it is voice. No doubt it is also life which is working through an instrument by the touch, but in singing it is direct life, the breath touching the heart of the listener. But what must be behind this voice? There must be a heart prepared with the help of the battery that it needs. What is that battery? That battery is what we call love and sympathy, the greatest power there is. A person who is material, who is struggling for himself from morning to evening, who is looking for his own benefit, who is in trouble and bitter, who is in the midst of fighting and is fighting himself, he cannot heal. The healer must be free, free to sympathize, free to love his fellow man even more than himself. What teaches this love? Where can I learn it? Where can one get it? The key to this love element is God. As we look upon life today with all its progress, what is lacking? It is God. God is the key and the unlimited store of love which is in the heart of man. Once I was amused and surprised at an answer that a very godly and good-natured maid gave me. Working in the house, she could not answer a knock at the door as quickly as it should have been answered, and the lady visitor who was waiting at the door became very impatient and spoke crossly to the maid. When I asked her what had happened, she was not cross at all. She smiled and said, Yes, that lady was very cross with me. I asked, well, what was the matter with her? What made her cross? What was the reason? And this maid, with innocence in her face, replied, The reason? There was no God. A beautiful answer. Where God is lacking, there is no love. Wherever there is love, there is God. Wherever there is God, there is love. If we interpret it rightly, what causes pain and suffering? It is lack of life. What is life? It is love. And what is love? It is God. What every individual wants, what the world wants, is God. All we have to attain by music, by harmony, by tone, by the science of right tuning, by a life of goodness, all we have to gain to bless our lives is God. This is the central theme of all good. Thanks for staying tuned. If you liked the reading, give me a like and a subscription. And very importantly, leave a comment so I know if you liked the video and where I can improve and make even better videos for you. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much. And then I would say that we will see us the next time.